If I could call the meeting to order. Welcome all in attendance and those live streaming today. We have a full council here, all except Jerry Morris, who is excused for a family event. Also present, Cliff Gravier, our town manager, Terry Tiemann, assistant town manager, Raylene Menominee, town clerk, Will Wharton, our IT director. We also have a full complement of police from the police department here, and I hope I don't miss anybody, but Chief Foley, Deputy Chief Justin Norman, Corporal Andrew Rogers, Sergeant Elliott, Sergeant Chuck Sharp, Sergeant Fulton, Patrolman Tressler, and an intern, Floyd Moore, and Secretary Amy Cresto. Did I miss anybody? Oh, Nick Lano. Sergeant Nick Lano, I'm sorry. Okay, I tried. We also have representatives from Justin's house here, but I'm going to get to you in just a few minutes, if we could. Could we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Approval of the minutes of our regular meeting held November 21st, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Approval of the minutes of the executive session held November 21st, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Approval of the minutes of the special meeting held December 15th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Enough meetings. Jeez. Approval of the financial report. Mrs. Keel.
Thank you, Mayor. This report covers the budget through December 31st, 2025. We are 75% through fiscal year 2026. We have collected 93% of our revenue for the year compared to 93.7% last year, and we have expended 75.8% of our expense budget compared to 78.9% last year. Recognizing that this report is subject to audit, I move that the council approve this unaudited report.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Before we progress with announcements and reports, I'm going to make a slight adjustment in the agenda and move ahead. The first item of new business, which is a presentation of a check to Justin's house by the Bethany Beast Police Department. Primarily, I want to just bring it up because so all our guests don't have to sit through, reports from committees, and I know you don't want to, you'd love to hear all of it, but, present from Justin's house are Mary Ellen and Craig Nantis, okay, which is Justin's parents. So good to have you here. Also, I believe Ernie Felici, okay. Is Kathy Green's here? Pam McCutcheon, okay. And Chris Coyle I met. So a full contingent. But before I turn it over to the chief here, I would, before I give him the podium. I want to say this is such a great effort on the part of every member of the police department, and for such a great cause, such a great cause. If you do not know Justin Jennings' story, please go on the Justin's Beach House website. It's a heart-wrenching story. It's such a wonderful young man. Please read it. An incredible life. And Justin's Beach House became the support for other families dealing with this same horrible disease, bringing them here to Bethany Beach for a short respite from at our wonderful beach, which is, a wonderful, wonderful thing. This day is totally free and supported by efforts like this one, including what our police department just has done this past fall. There's an annual spring run held here in town, and I know there are other events which fund it, which allows everybody to stay. If families that are dealing with cancer get to stay absolutely free, and an amazing effort. Chief, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Thank you, Mayor.
And I think you're going to follow it up with a little acknowledgement within the police department?
Yes, sir. We'll do Justin's Beach House first, and then.
Okay, sounds good.
Mayor, council, town manager, residents, thank you again for your time and support of the police department. How did I get a Patriots jersey on the screen? How did I do that? Trying to get all of the Bethany Beach officers, we're amazed by the support here. I think more than half of these people are on their day off or on night works. Trying to get officers at the police department together during a holiday season for photo ops, trying to do before and after pictures. It's like trying to herd cats between shift work, training, and vacations. So thank you guys for all the pictures and attempts to get pictures. I, among the Bethany Beach police officers, participated in this fundraising campaign. We're very happy to keep our first fundraising attempt 8 blocks from our police department in town of Bethany Beach. We can see the impact of the town's generosity daily through the Justin's Beach House Foundation and the Justin Jennings Foundation. Essentially, we're donating directly back into our community, and we can see the vacationers enjoying the town while we're out there in patrol and driving by every day. It's great. The check I had written was during the first week in January, excuse me, in the amount of $4,530. The Bethany Beach community is so generous, the foundations keep coming in after I got the check cut. The final donation was in the amount of $4,850. Known contributions were made by Bethany Beach police officers and staff, to include our high school intern here, Floyd, who cannot grow facial hair to save his life, and he donated. Town employees who wish to remain anonymous, as well as others affiliated with the town in different capacities. The Bethany Beach Landowners Association, and the public through our advertising on social media. Like I said, the total amount of our first charity for the No Grooming campaign was $4,850. And we do have a check here to the Justin Jennings Foundation. Mayor, if you want to get a photo op, we'll present you a check here up front.
So, you want to have?
Sure. Yeah.
We have some.
Everybody. No.
Just, yeah, you got enough people.
Yeah. She has a nice kid, but I don't think it's that nice.
Beach House started in 2010. 350 families.
Oh, wow.
350 families have come and stayed in Bethany Beach.
That's amazing.
Such a great thing. Chief, we're going to do a little acknowledgement that you'd like to-
Absolutely. Sergeant Chuck Sharp, come on up here. Chuck Sharp began his service with the town of Bethany Beach in December of 2005. This marks his 20 years of service to the town. Chuck is a graduate of the University of Delaware with a bachelor's degree in agriculture. Currently, his pride and joy, Bella, his daughter, who's one of our own Bethany Beach Guards, also attends there currently. After an unexpected career change in banking with a Newark, Delaware residence, Chuck moved his new family with his one-year-old daughter to the area to begin a career in law enforcement in 2005. Chuck and I were cadets together for the police department beginning February 2006. Before we attended the academy, I was a recent college graduate who moved from Boston, Massachusetts to Ocean View. I had 4 years of experience as a seasonal, and Chuck was an experienced adult with a previous banking career with a young family. He entered this agency as a stranger. While we didn't have much in common, we formed a friendship as we both attended the Delaware State Police Academy. Chuck was the second oldest in the class of 35 recruits at 32 years old, and I was the second youngest at 22. Chuck and I kept each other intact during those rigorous 20 weeks of blood, sweat, and tears. While we were separated on our 12-week FTO program on opposite shifts, we were still there for each other to stay the course. After our academy graduation and completion of our individual FTO program, the PD quickly became to realize the personality, humor, and character of Chuck Sharp. With his quirky one-liners, sense of humor, and crazy stories from a previous part-time job of 7 years as a bartender at the Big Kahuna in Ocean City, Chuck quickly became a member and quickly of the Bethany Beach Police Department family. Throughout his career, Chuck has been involved as a community liaison for local businesses and shops in town, where he has implemented shoplifting seminars geared towards strategies of prevention and security for those owners. He was a main component in the professionalization and implementation of our CALIA policy program dating back to 2012 through 2020. He was also the agency CPR and AED instructor. Chuck was awarded Officer of the Year in 2015 and again in 2017 for a heroic life-saving event where he jumped into the frigid, rough surf after a recent storm and pulled a distressed swimmer to safety. For this, he was rightfully issued the overall Valor Award for that year for his heroic actions. In law enforcement, 20 years isn't just a number on an HR file. It represents 2 decades of being the person who runs toward the crisis, which Chuck has demonstrated. When everyone else is running away, it represents 7,300 days of putting on a vest, pinning on his badge, and promising the citizens of Bethany Beach that they can sleep soundly because he is on duty. Chuck, you sacrificed family events, holidays, birthdays, and sleep to ensure this community thrives. Today, we just don't thank you for your time. We thank you for your character and loyalty. Bethany Beach is better because you choose to serve here. We have a commemorative plaque. It so happens to be Chuck did his 20 years during our centennial year of the Bethany Beach Police Department, so it has a nice little Bethany Beach seal and the centennial patch on there as well. So, Chuck, thank you for your service.
I'm not going to say too much. I think the chief covered pretty much everything, and I don't know what is left to say, but thank you so much, Sergeant.
Sergeant Charles.
Thank you.
Bethany officers, next month, we're going to recognize Chief's 20 years here. What I would like you all to do over the course of the next month is to send me any humorous anecdotes involving Chief Foley to my email address. Send them anonymously if you can. And we'll include them in our remarks next month when we recognize the Chief's 2 decades.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming in. To continue with announcements, the town had a spectacular Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday season with large crowds in town, attending the many events and enjoying the holiday decorations. I want to thank the entire staff, town staff, as well as council on it. And with a special thank you to the Police Department and Public Works, Julie Maluski, our Director of Events, Elaine Fay, the Museum Director, and Nancy Lucy at the Nature Center. They all worked hard to get everything together and organized and staff the events. We also had a wonderfully and well-attended residents' holiday party here on December the 5th, right here in Town Hall. Good to see so many of our residents present at that. And I'd like to thank Kathy Rossi, our new Communications Director, for a spectacular holiday newsletter. I believe it's still up on the town website, so if you haven't seen it, please tune in and take a look. Some great photos in there, too. So, our beach and crossovers are once again open, and we're open just in time for the holiday season. Thank you, Denerick, and especially Secretary Patterson and Josh Lippert, the new Shoreline and Waterway Program Administrator. They worked very well with the town in getting things open. We had 4 of them open before Thanksgiving, and then just beyond that, we had all the rest were opened up. Unfortunately, full-fledged replenishment does not look good for the near future. Looks very questionable with federal funding being as it is, and not just limited, but moving slowly. Hopefully, our winter nor'easters will not be too severe this year. I'd like to put in a plug for an upcoming weather rescheduled stormwater and flooding committee meeting, which is now scheduled for next Friday, a week from today at 2 p.m. We will be having Christophe Toulouse, Executive Director of the Center for the Inland Bays, speaking on regional development around the bays and how he sees it continuing in the future. A hot topic. All are welcome, and as part of the meeting, there will be updates on our regional and town resilience efforts. I hope to see you there. I'm going to turn the gavel over to Rich right now, who's going to say a few words about legislative issues, as well as update us on the January 7th Legislative Summit in Dover, which was attended by 3 of our town council members, Teresa Keel, Mickey Hinman, and Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I really play with the gavel?
You can play with the gavel.
Just checking. Yeah, I want to go through just as we here in Bethany were kind of quiet during the holiday season, the state was sort of as well, and it's now slowly rising up again and revving things up. So I wanted to talk about it, and also probably true for the county. So I'm going to talk about 3 things today. First is the Climate Action Plan. The state just released its 2025, I'm not sure why they call it 25 instead of 26, but in any case, it's the 25 Climate Action Plan. This is the first plan they released since the Climate Change Solutions Act, which they passed in 2023, and it's focusing on a wide variety of topics related to climate control, not so much specific to beaches, but or beach issues, but just climate control in the state generally. But they do have a section on the beaches, so I just wanted to focus a little bit on that. It's well worth reading. It's on the, I think it's on the DENRIC website. It's very long, a lot of attachments, but it's worth reading, and we'll see how it plays out. But there is a section specifically on oceans and wetlands that I just wanted to talk about the issues they're looking at there. There's nothing yet to know how it's going to turn out, but it's worth seeing what they do, because eventually those things will either directly or I think indirectly affect us. The first issue they're going to focus on is how to preserve and protect wetlands, which is obviously an issue that's going to affect us depending on where it comes out. The second is facilitating marsh migration. I'll be honest, I'm not exactly sure what marsh migration means, but that's the second topic. And then the last three topics are all about how to use our ecosystems to help control and carbon dioxide systems, how to use our wetlands to control carbon dioxide poisoning, how to use, there's a new science emerging on how to use marine, the ocean systems to basically capture carbon, and they're worrying about new technologies there. So we're going to be seeing them focus on those things, and it's worth thinking that eventually it's going to come back to us, to somehow maybe this council or this town and other towns like us to put in place some of the things that they identify as things to do. So that's worth watching. The second issue is, as Ron said, there was a legislative summit. The state legislature kicked off their session this past Monday. But before they did that, there was a session last week in Dover, kind of kicking off and telling people what they're about to talk about in there. First, I want to commend Mickey and Teresa for having the courage to let me drive them up and back from Dover. That itself was probably scary for them.
Made it a record time.
You did. You did. My tires hardly touched the road. But we got back. It was a good session. It was an all-day session. The lineup was, I thought, pretty impressive, and from Governor Meyer to legislative leaders from both political parties and cabinet members. And they talked that day about the issues that they think will be in front of them this year. And I just want to touch on a couple of them. And I have to say, too, and I'd be curious whether these folks feel the same, there was some tension in the room when the legislative people from both parties got together, but they were trying to identify issues and trying to figure out where they're going to go. So I'll talk about a couple of topics that I at least thought were the most likely to come out of this. First was a continuation of the problems on the property reassessment issues. I think it's fair to say they seem to think they've identified the problems, but have not yet identified the fixes. I suppose that's halfway to the battle, but there's going to be a lot of time and energy spent trying to figure out the fixes for this, maybe particularly in Newcastle County, but I think in ways that will affect our county and Kent County as well. The second category of issues, which I thought was very interesting, were energy issues. They focused again on the fact that Delaware doesn't generate all the power it needs itself, so we have to go elsewhere to get it. So they were looking at ways of either dealing with that by controlling the power that we do get and storing it here, or getting other sources of power ourselves. And they identified certain issues that we're going to see them talking about. One of them is Delmarva, which is provides most of the power for the state, can't generate its own power. I don't really understand that, but they can't generate their own power. So they're likely to try to change the law so they can at least set up a battery system to store power. So they can store power they generate as it goes on and then use it later when they need it. So there's going to be some legislation about that, and maybe possibly storing it somewhere down here in Sussex County. The second issue is about these data centers. The data centers is a big issue right now. There's a project going on in Delaware City about a data center that they want to build, which is a great thing for employment, a great thing for potentially monies to the local communities. but it draws a lot of power. So they're trying to figure out how they can bring these things in and generate the jobs and so forth, and not have them be a huge user of our power when we're in a situation where we have a deficit of power already. So there's going to be some talk about how to make sure that these data centers are allowed to come in, but only to the extent they can make their own power. So that's going to be a project, I think, to look at. And then the last one they talked about was nuclear facilities and whether they can do something with nuclear facilities to generate power inside the state. So we'll be seeing comments about that. And then the last one that I want to talk about is affordability issues. I think every time you open the papers or go online, you hear the word affordability these days. And that's certainly true nationally, and it's true here in Dover. I think we're going to be hearing on issues about affordability as it relates to housing, workforce issues, and healthcare. So there's going to be a lot of conversation about that as well. And then if I may, just one other topic. We've talked a couple times here about the fact that Atlantic Fields was coming, the new shopping center. Well, apparently Atlantic Fields is no longer coming. This past Monday, the Sussex County Board voted unanimously to block that from coming. They were basically voting on a change in their zoning rules to allow for rezoning in that area to allow it to come. So that project, I guess as it was designed, is no longer on the table. But they're looking now, in the conversations that I've seen so far this week after that, there are two other projects. One's called the Belmead project, which is another shopping center that's about to be, already been approved, rather. That one's already been approved, which has already contacted Costco and I think Target to potentially move in over there in that project. So the fact that Atlantic Fields is dead doesn't mean Costco and Target, I guess, are dead. So that may be good depending on where it is. And then there's another project that's getting considered in Milton, which would be bigger than the Belmead project, which has also reached out to Costco, and my understanding is Nordstrom and Target as well. So the fact that Atlantic Fields is dead is good, but the fact is probably that those businesses coming to the area, that's not a done deal yet, or it's not a dead deal yet. So if you think those are good things to happen, they still might happen. So that's it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good report. Thank you, Rich. If there's anybody from the public who would like to speak, this would be a good time. Please raise your hand if there is. Seeing none, we will proceed on to reports. The report from the Police Accountability Committee, Mrs. Hardiman. I see you shaved.
I shaved. I have to say that Chief Foley was jealous because my beard was bigger than his. Okay. I'm glad the police aren't here to hear my police accountability report. I think if you heard all that Chief Foley talked about with regard to Sergeant Sharp, you get an understanding or a picture of just how incredible our police department is. Each one of them is so dedicated and committed to everything, and that showed through in the ride-alongs we did, the professionalism and how much they really love their jobs and are concerned about others. So our job is very easy. So the Police Accountability Committee held its last quarterly meeting for 2025 on December 2nd. Chief Foley provided an update on important items since PAC's last quarterly meeting in September. He reported on 2 promotions, which you remember Grady Meredith was promoted to Patrolman First Class, and Corporal Joshua Fulton was promoted to Sergeant. And the Chief also went through and explained the requirements, the tenure, and other requirements, testing requirements that they have to go through in order to go to the next grade. The Chief and Deputy Chief Norman also held very productive meetings with leadership of 2 local churches, St. Anne's and St. Martha's. They toured the facilities, they performed vulnerability assessments, and they provided recommendations regarding how these institutions might mitigate those vulnerabilities. On October 18th, there was another No Kings demonstration rally over in the park, and Chief Foley reported there were about 1,100 participants. It was very peaceful. He thanked DelDOT because DelDOT provided the drone coverage. They were able to put the drones up in the air and from the ground monitor everything that was going on around there. The police department received a random audit by the Delaware Criminal Justice Council regarding the review of practices, written directives, and procedures regarding the processing of juvenile offenders. The chief reported that they passed with flying colors. There are very strict requirements for how juveniles are supposed to be treated, how they're supposed to be held, parental notification, and how they release them. DC Norman reported that out of thousands of traffic stops and interactions with the public each year, the police department had only 5 citizens' complaints in 2025. Based on a review of the body cam footage, surveillance cameras, and mobile video recorders in police vehicles, all of the 5 were determined to be either unfounded or the officer was exonerated. Unfounded means that the individual made a false claim. And exonerated, even though the individual, the complainant, felt that they shouldn't have been charged as they were charged, that it was unfair, a review of the camera and everything else showed that the officer followed the proper procedure and policies, and they were right in issuing the citation. The chief reported that they even had a motorist who received a ticket who wrote in to say that he was guilty of the infraction, he apologized, and he complimented the officer for being very professional and courteous while doing his duty. I think the guy was preparing for the next time. Chief Foley went through some of the other actions that officers were involved in, including pursuits and use of force situations. PAC members reported on their ride-alongs with officers, and we voted on dates for 2026 quarterly meetings, March 24th, June 2nd, September 15th, and December 1st. And Chief Foley reported that as of the end of December, all PAC members have completed 20 hours of training, and he and DC Norman handed out certificates of completion. And that's my report. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hardeman. Report from the Cultural and Historical Affairs Committee. Mrs. Califf.
The Cultural and Historical Affairs Committee held a meeting Tuesday, January 13th. We ended 2025 on a high note with 2 events. Christmas with Mrs. Dinker was absolutely the best December event we've ever had. In just 2 hours, we had well over 50 people come to tour the museum, visit with our Mrs. Dinker, and enjoy the carolers. We had more craft activities for children, as well as a scavenger hunt in the museum this year. Miniatures of objects either seen or spoken about in the museum were hidden throughout. The reward for finding them all was the sticker of your choice. Surprisingly, adults were way more into this than the kids. I mean, they couldn't wait to get in there and find this stuff. Some of them needed help to find the little objects, which we said we can't do that, or you can't get a sticker. I would like to thank our Public Works Department for decorating the Dinker Urban Museum. And whether you saw it during the day or lit beautifully at night, it was definitely a showstopper. They did an absolutely fabulous job. We received many, many compliments on it. We now have an interactive display in the museum. So now, with just a touch of your finger, you can view historic homes, events, town history, listen to shared stories, and more. Elaine Fay, our museum director, will be adding even more content in the coming months. Work is progressing on our Travel to Bethany interactive panel. This hands-on map will highlight the very long journey and many forms of transportation needed to reach Bethany Beach in the early 1900s. The trip from Philadelphia and Baltimore was 1 full day, leaving at 5 in the morning, often arriving well after midnight. Traveling from Pittsburgh took 2 full days. Just like today, you can imagine the children of that time asking a question, "Are we there yet?" So with that in mind, we've named our interactive panel, Are We There Yet? Our visitor numbers for 2025 reached 644, an increase up from 591 in 2024, which makes us very happy. And we'll see what we can do this year to exceed that. Also in December, we dedicated the plaque that we had created in honor of the 100th anniversary of the Women's Civic Club of Bethany Beach. Several of their past presidents were in attendance, as well as CHAC members and some members of council. The inscription on the plaque reads, Women's Civic Club of Bethany Beach, 1925 to 2025. In recognition of 100 years of dedication and community service to the town of Bethany Beach. With gratitude and admiration, we celebrate this milestone anniversary and honor the strength of women united in purpose and commitment. The plaque is located at the end of the flower garden that faces Pennsylvania Avenue near the twinning sign. Currently, we are creating an exhibit in honor of the town's 125th anniversary. When it's finished, we'll have it on display here in Town Hall. This year's Fire and Ice Festival is the history kickoff for Delaware's 250th anniversary. CHAC is going to join other local history groups who've been invited to attend a gathering at the Coastal Towns Museum on Saturday, January 31st from 11 to 3. And that's our January report.
Thank you.
If I could just add, Mayor, Carol, I had a chance to sit in, as you know, with your team on Tuesday, right? Yeah. And in addition to everything you said, the thing I wanted to just comment on, it was really, the energy, the enthusiasm, the creativity was fantastic. I mean, it was literally people sharing an idea and then building on it for some of the things to come. And so I just want to applaud you and the team. It's really awesome. It's a lot of, I think all of us who lead different committees, the participation we get from our citizens, and it's just really what makes it so special here, right? I mean, and it was just, it was a fun hour for me, just sitting and listening. I almost ran out of ink as I was trying to write all the things you guys were thinking about. So thank you very much, and your whole team.
Before we get to town manager, I'm going to insert one report that wasn't listed here, and that's the Budget and Finance Committee. Mrs. Keel.
Thank you, Mayor. The Budget and Finance Committee met on Thursday, January 15th, to review the third quarter of the current year and discuss the first draft of the proposed budget for fiscal year 2027, which starts on April 1st. The results of the first three quarters were good. Revenues should end about $170,000 over budget. That's good considering we had a decline in rental taxes and parking revenue, but we had an increase in transfer taxes. Operating costs are 4% higher than the prior year, mainly due to wages needed to keep our police department and beach patrol fully staffed. The first draft of the new budget for fiscal year 2027 was also discussed in detail. Townwide revenues are currently budgeted at $15 million, operating costs at $13.7 million, and capital and debt budget is $1.2 million. The revenue budget is $190,000 lower than the prior year after the reduced number of visitors we saw in the summer of 2026. The committee discussed and will likely recommend a small increase in property taxes and a change in how we handle the annual parking passes. The small increase in property taxes is recommended due to cost increases needed to remain competitive in a challenging job market. A large percentage of the town's budget is personnel costs, and in order to keep all of our departments fully staffed, we need to raise the wages that we're offering people. The proposal for the upcoming summer is, let me change topics. We're on to parking passes now. The proposal for the upcoming summer is to send all residents one free side street permit. Residents will then have the option to pay the same $50 fee as past years for an additional side street permit, or a higher fee for beach lot permits. So what that means is the days of the free parking for residents in the beach end, it's over. So we have to decide what the cost of that beach end permit will be. We'll discuss that in February. The committee also discussed changes to the Gold and Premier Business annual permits, and we discussed the annual $50 fee for employee parking, decide to keep that at $50. The committee will meet again on February 19th to discuss the second draft of the budget.
Thank you, Mrs. Keel. Report from the town manager.
Mayor, Council, to add on to something that Mrs. Keel just said regarding parking in beach lots, residential parking in beach lots. A number of years ago, when we decided to extend that benefit to residents and give them the opportunity to use those residential permits in the beachfront lots, we were unequivocal when we did that in saying that it was an experiment of sorts, and that if we took a step back at some point in time and saw that that impacted revenues, and summer revenues are very expensive, very important to us, and very expensive, because they help us offset our summer expenses. So revenue coming in is something that we really need to watch here in the summer. Otherwise, we'll end up passing that along in your residential tax bills, which we don't want to do. Because we've seen a change in that is what is making the Budget Committee and eventually the Council consider or reconsider residential permit access to the beach lots. I think everyone will be committed to make sure that it continues to happen, but there may be an increased fee associated with it. So it's nothing that we've given and taken back. It's something we've always said we would do on a trial basis.
Well, wasn't that, that was put in to let residents use the beach lots with their permits before the pandemic, before COVID? It was during COVID. Yeah, but I mean, it was done to control the crowds a little bit. Wasn't that one of the purposes?
It was one of the thoughts also, but also was a benefit we wanted to see if we could extend in a way that didn't impact revenue. So it wasn't the main driver at that point in time. To echo the mayor's comments, I'd like to say a big thank you to staff, especially Julie Molesky, her crew, her team, Public Works, and the Police Department. At a point in time when everybody else is slowing down a little bit for the holidays, they really come to the fore, and they make our Christmas events something that stands out in the region for sure. I think they're one of the kind, certainly south of the inlet. And also to remind everyone that the Chambers Fire and Ice event is coming up January 30th to February 1st. And because our beach is still so small, we're not able to shoot fireworks as we have done sometimes in the past with Fire and Ice. The Chamber is going to have and we're helping to underwrite, a drone show. And if you've never seen a professional drone show, they are fairly interesting. They're novel, certainly worth viewing at least once. And I think they put together a very, very good production as part of the Fire and Ice Festival. And again, January 30th to February 1st. This room it's a beautiful room, but one of the problems we've had over the years with the room is not only the lighting, which blinds everybody sitting here, but poor acoustics. And we've certainly had problems, anybody that's gone back to try to listen to recordings of meetings, to hear some of those meetings. So we've just completed a significant enhancement. The only visual that you can see from the enhancement is this little, very homely-looking white tray up here in the ceiling, extended off of the light fixture. But it is a very, very high-end microphone that can pick up voice from about the midpoint of the room going to the back of the room, and actually has the capability, once it hits the voices, to track the voices if it moves around in the room. It's a great enhancement. We'll still use the microphone to make sure that we capture what people say, but people tell me that it's sensitive enough that if you're whispering in the audience, it can pick it up and record it. So no more whispering in the audience. In addition,
what you say.
In addition, we have had to really Rube Goldberg Zoom meetings and team meetings in this room with various screens, but now the enhancement with not only our audio equipment, but our software will allow us to do Zooms and team meetings utilizing these two screens in the office. Our ramps to the boardwalk are ancient, the wooden ramps that go from the parking lot to the boardwalks. Nobody can recall, even Brett with his 40 or 50 years of employment here, can't remember exactly when they were installed. And even though we've replaced the surface boards over the course of time, the substructure has reached the point in time where it's deteriorated and it's no longer usable. One of the problems that we have with it is that we've replaced surface boards so much that the stringers have been destroyed as we keep on putting nails and screws into the stringers. So we're going to have to replace those ramps. And unlike the boardwalk, the substructure isn't substantial. It's 2x4s and 4x4s. We have a contract out, bids coming in on February 26. We will award bids to reconstruct 2 of those ramps at 1st and 2nd Street. The total estimated cost for that is $170,000. To date, even though it's been out for a while, we have not received any bids, and we're going to begin to send out packages to local contractors to try to elicit some interest. We've talked about for some time the need for us to replace the bulkhead in the Boardwalk Plaza. That work is ready to take to bid, but we sent back some of our documents to the engineer to take another look at what we're going to propose. Because of conversations that we had had recently with our engineer and designer, we had considered removing and replacing all the pavers in the plaza. What we found out that it was something that was going to add over $300,000 to our original estimated cost. With that in mind, we went back to the contractor that installed the pavers initially, told him what we wanted to do, the movement of some pavers, the replacement, our desire to make sure that melted in was aesthetically pleasing, and he assures us that's something he can do, that'll be a seamless repair, and we will not notice it, and we can go back to our original estimate, which was probably in the neighborhood of, instead of $500,000+, $200,000+. We have $600,000 allocated for ramp repair and the plaza repair, and going back to this sort of repair, again with the idea that it's aesthetically pleasing and something that we're pleased with and happy with, will give us more money for our ramp repair, which is something that's needed for many of our other ramps in town. The bid package is out and will be advertised in the next week or so, finally, for our Route 1 and 26 intersection. We've cleared up whatever the issues that we had with DelDOT with their permitting and their safety permit, and that is good to go. The estimated engineer's cost for that is $191,000. We have already invested $41,000 in new lights that we have in stock, in-house, and the necessary groundwork and concrete work to install 2 new decorative lights on the corner. We're hoping, again, we're able to let that project and have that done by the summer. But I would note that our last meeting in November, you approved the go-ahead and the cost for our enhancements on Route 26. And that was administered, those contracts were administered and bid by DelDOT. Their low bidder is so backed up that the engineer has now decided, with DelDOT's concurrence, to speak to the second bidder to see if the second bidder will do construction at the awarded price so we can make sure we move the project ahead by May. Apparently the person doing the bidding is doing a lot of low bidding and getting a lot of work, but DelDOT's aware of that, and we'll see if we can make that adjustment. Terry Tiemann, another great job. Terry, grant application to DenRec Parks, picked up a maximum award amount of $150,000 for park equipment. This is positive for us in that this is a grant that DenRec will allow you to queue up, will allow you to phase construction, so we'll be able to go back over the course of multiple years, ask for grant extensions, queue up more resources, and maybe pay for the majority of what might be a $500,000 project from grants from DenRec. So that's very good news for us. Many of us here in this room are very old. And because of that, we've installed an automated external defibrillator right outside the council room doors. And what's happened here to Bethany is that, staff-wise, we had a 20-year-old full-time public works personnel had a heart attack this summer while on the job near the boardwalk. And we took a step back about how prepared we were or we weren't for that. And at the end of the day, we decided that we could do a better job in being prepared for something like that. With that in mind, a little bit of grant work and work on the part of staff, we've installed AEDs at all our locations, 2 in this building. All of our full-time employees have completed a very, very serious and focused CPR training and AED training also. And so that's been done here in the last several weeks. So that's something we're happy with. There's AEDs at the water plant, the Public Works Department, the guardhouse, and something that we're glad that we've done. We have a new water quality report that's done periodically by the State's Division of Public Health and the Office of Drinking Water. And once again, the amounts of lead and copper tracked or traced in our water are infinitesimal. So a good job on everyone's part and a testament to the quality of the water we deliver. Terry, do you have a little bit of update on the land spit at Lake Bethany?
Happy to. Good afternoon, everybody. So far, all of the piles have been driven at the western end of the Loop Canal at the project site, except for the last 6. The last 6 will be done from land because they're using that area to take material in and bring material out for the project. So those last 6 will be done from land. And then right now we have 533 linear feet of sheet piles installed out of 855 linear feet. 654 linear feet of whalers installed out of 855 linear feet. The tide has been unusually low and has become a factor during when the barge moves, especially because the barge is mostly loaded with lots of dirt and trees and that kind of thing. It makes it heavy. But they've worked around it as best they could. But during low tides, they are unable to move those barges. And this will be especially challenging when they go to put the fill back behind the wall, to even it all out. So we're hope for high tides, just a little high tide, not to flood, but just. So they have 2 crews running, and so they're both currently on schedule. They've ordered the plants, and so plantings will begin soon. Some plants are being shifted because of the dense vegetation that's already there. Wall construction should be completed by mid-February. And then they've ordered cap boards for the piles, and we've approved a 0.6 CCA, which I don't know what that means, but if you're an engineer, you might. Pressure-treated lumber, but I'm told by the engineers that it's completely acceptable. So that's my summary. We're making progress, and we should be finished with all the construction work by mid-February, just in time for the heron season. And we'll probably be doing some minor planning, but it won't interfere with the herons.
Thank you, Terry. And Mayor, that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Cliff. Thank you, Terry.
Mayor, can I just add to Cliff, you had mentioned the support of the Public Works for all the decorations and everything else, and I just spent a little bit of time out the other day. We talk a lot about storms and flood prevention and swales, and I spent a little bit of the time out with the team. I think it was 8 folks in total, cleaning swales, and that is one heck of an operation. I really. It's all manual, and it's some blowing, but all that stuff has to be picked up, dug out. And some of these, I got to a couple places that literally were ditches. I mean, we call them swales behind some of the properties that I had no clue they were there. And so it's a big effort, and I just wanted to compliment the team, Brett and his group. So thank you.
Thank you. It is really a team, and we don't often, I don't think about it enough, and I don't say thank you enough, but the fact that we have 12, 13 people in Public Works, that Public Works has been understaffed by 2 or 3 people for years because of issues we're having with hiring in today's job market. And when you consider that they are our cleanup personnel, there are horticulture personnel, there are trash personnel, there are stormwater personnel, there are beach cleaning personnel, the way they do it and how well they do it and the way the town looks compared, I think, to other jurisdictions, and I don't mind saying that, is just a tribute to the hard work of that team, and they are a team. But thank you, Mickey.
Yeah. I'll give a second or third to that one. I think they do an incredible job, and I've seen, like Mickey, I've seen some of those swales that are cleaned out, and they look great, and I know it takes an incredible effort to get all of them cleaned like that.
And Brett will tell you they look clean for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they don't anymore.
Then the Phragmites starts coming back.
Yes.
So, okay. Before we go into new business, I'd like to just state that there will be an opportunity for the public to address any questions on agenda items after the initial council discussion and before council votes. The first item we are going to cover is this. Would you like to?
Yep.
Go ahead.
The first item is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on the appointment of Matt Kirks to the Board of Adjustment. Mayor.
All of council has a copy of Matt's resume. He's a highly qualified geomatics land surveyor, working now for WMATA, which is the Washington area's metro system. I'm sure you're asking yourself, what is geomatics? Well, I had to go Google it because I didn't know what it was. So geomatics is the gathering, analyzing, using of spatial data about Earth, combining surveying with high-tech tools of GPS, drones, and geographic information and environmental management. This is way above me, but I believe it will well serve in analyzing Bethany Beach's properties for the determining of if adjustments are warranted. Matt is a town resident. He still works remotely and commutes several days back into Washington. He's an active member, a very active member of the Stormwater and Flooding Committee and has been for 4 years. Mike Loftus, the chair of the Board of Adjustment, has interviewed Matt, and he believes he will be a very good add to his board. Do I have a motion to appoint Matt Kirks to the Board of Adjustment? Mickey, and a second?
I'll second it.
I'm sorry.
A motion from Mickey and a
Yes.
second from
Second,
Rich.
yes.
Okay, do we
Can I
have?
use the gavel?
Do we have any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Matt Kirks is appointed to the Board of Adjustment.
Next item is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on the appointment of Donna Niemiller to the Audit Committee. Mayor.
As you can see from Donna's resume, Council, she's has an extensive background in corporate accounting, financial statements, and audits. She is a CPA, but just as important, I think, is she has had a home in Bethany for almost 20 years. She knows the town. She has been very active with the local businesses and some of their promotions. She's not a full-time resident, but spends a great deal of time in Bethany, and I would say that's not just in the summertime, that's year-round. I believe she will be an excellent add to the Audit Committee. Frank Myers, the Audit Committee Chairman, has interviewed her and came away thinking the same thing, that she would be a good add to his committee and provides his full support. Do I have a motion to appoint Donna Niemiller to the Audit Committee?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? Any discussion from the public? Those in favor?
Aye.
Donna is appointed to the to the Audit Committee. Next item, on our last item today, discussion, consideration, and possible vote on approving the funds, $50,000 needed to meet the match requirement for the surface water matching planning grant for the Bethany West flooding drainage study. Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, Council, this is a housekeeping measure to make our fiscal director happy. The council is aware that the town has applied for and received a $50,000 matching grant from DENREC to look at issues related to stormwater in Bethany West. We will be administering the grant, and as we are billed by the engineer, once we meet our $50,000 match, we'll then be forwarding the remainder on to the state. But we need an open purchase order to be able to do that, to make our auditors happy, and this is the purchase order that's needed to do that. So if you want to move this forward, a motion and a second.
Okay. I know the study's been going on. Can you tell us where it is?
I can only tell you that we've been billed $15,000 against the $100,000, and I don't know where that takes us at that point in time. so.
Okay. 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 Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? Any discussion from the audience? Okay, seeing none? Those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. That concludes everything today. Thank all those for coming and listening online. Enjoy the winter season. We have a great fire and ice coming up, as was mentioned by Cliff. The end of the month, I believe it's the last weekend in January, and let's hope it's not too warm that weekend. So, do I have a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second, I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for coming.